97 million. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. We're talking 97 million installs for a brand new AI standard, just as of this past March. And this isn't some fluffy vanity metric we're looking at here. This is hard, undeniable proof that AI is officially moving out of that wild experimental hype cycle, and it's cementing itself right into our foundational everyday tech infrastructure.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are absolutely cutting through the noise, removing way past the AI hype to look at something much more concrete, which is the rapid, real-time maturation of a standardized AI tech stack. We're going to use this spring 2026 blueprint as a roadmap today to see exactly how these new layers are forming, kind of acting as our guide for what's actually happening on the ground in the industry right now. All right, here is our roadmap. We'll kick things off with the era of AI infrastructure, then we'll dive into MCP as the integration standard, followed by TurboQuant removing the compute bottleneck. Then we'll see how AWS is making agents go corporate, peek at AMI Labs building world models, and finally wrap it all up with some actionable takeaways for the industry.
So let's jump right into Section 1, the era of AI infrastructure, moving beyond the hype.
Over the past 2 months, we've honestly seen 4 massive breakthroughs that really set the stage for us today. First, Anthropic's MCP hitting 97 million installs, that's our protocol layer. Then Google's TurboQuant debut at ICLR 2026 represents the compute layer. We've got AWS splitting Amazon Connect into 4 distinct agentic products for the enterprise layer. And finally, Jan LeCun's AMI Labs raising over $1 billion, which points perfectly to the future architectural layer of AI. So let's start from the bottom and build our way up.
Moving on to Section 2, MCP, the integration standard. This is the protocol layer of our stack.
The Model Context Protocol, or MCP as you'll usually hear it called, has incredibly quickly become the default standard mechanism for AI agents to connect to external tools, APIs, and data sources. If you think about it metaphorically, it's basically like the HTTP standard for the early web. It's the foundational plumbing, right? The plumbing that finally allows totally different parts of the AI ecosystem to talk to each other seamlessly. And that level of communication is just absolutely essential if we're going to build the next generation of AI agents. And to really grasp why MCP's massive adoption is such a huge deal, you have to look at where it lives now. The Linux Foundation actually just brought MCP under open governance. That means it is officially, quote, shared infrastructure, no single vendor controls. For developers out there, this is literally a game changer. You can now build these complex multi-agent toolchains without lying awake at night worrying that, Anthropic's future product decisions are going to suddenly break your entire stack.
Next up is Section 3, TurboQuant, removing the bottleneck. This is our compute layer.
But okay, before we look at Google's brand new solution, we first have to ask, what exactly is the KV cache bottleneck? Well, when you run large AI models at scale, the KV, or key value cache, acts as this in-memory store that grows right alongside your context length. And it eats up a massive, massive amount of memory. This creates a really severe constraint on costs and batch sizes. Honestly, it's essentially the heavy anchor that's currently dragging down AI performance across the board.
Well, here is exactly where Google steps in. They debuted TurboQuant at ICLR 2026, and it significantly shrinks this KV cache overhead using polar quant vector rotation and quantized Johnson-Lindenstrass compression. Now, I know that sounds like a mouthful, but essentially, they're incredibly smart geometry tricks that squeeze the data down without losing its shape or quality. So what's the real so what here? By compressing this cache, developers get dramatically lower serving costs, and they can process massive batches of data all at once. It's a massive leap from just throwing more raw computing power at the problem to actually building truly efficiency-first AI. Moving right along to Section 4, AWS, Agents Go Corporate. Welcome to the enterprise layer.
AWS is actually guiding this entire transformation to the enterprise layer using a really fascinating design principle. They're calling it humomorphism. What does that mean? Basically, it's AI built to behave as a teammate rather than just a dumb tool. It learns your business context, and it adapts over time instead of just executing rigid static scripts. I think it beautifully highlights how enterprise AI is finally graduating from those clunky old workflows into adaptable, autonomous problem-solving. To actually put this human morphism into practice, AWS took Amazon Connect and they completely split it into 4 distinct purpose-built agentic products. As you can see, we have Connect Decisions for supply chain optimization, Connect Talent for AI-driven hiring workflows, Connect Customer for targeted customer engagement, and Connect Health for healthcare administration. But the real kicker here isn't just how they categorized it, it's the speed. AWS notes that enterprise customers, like United Airlines, for example, have gone from rough concept to live production in just 3 months. And if you know the enterprise world, you know that 3 months is absolutely blazing fast.
All right, let's look over the horizon with Section 5, AMI Labs, Building World Models, the Future Paradigm Layer.
This is where the paradigm just completely shifts. Traditional large language models, as we know them, learn by predicting text token sequences. So, essentially, they're playing the world's most advanced game of autocomplete, right? But AMI Labs, which was founded by Turing Award winner Jan LeCun, is building something different. They're building world models. These models learn by actually understanding physical causality and spatial reasoning. And this is absolutely crucial, because you simply cannot run real-world robotics, healthcare, or complex manufacturing on text prediction alone. Real-world applications actually require a baseline understanding of how the physical world works.
And make no mistake, the industry is betting heavily on this exact future. AMI Labs just secured a massive $1.03 billion at a $3.5 billion valuation. That is the largest seed round in European history. But here's the most important detail to pay attention to. NVIDIA is one of the massive financial backers here, alongside Bezos' Expeditions and Temasek. That NVIDIA backing is a huge signal. It tells us the GPU supply chain is actively hedging its bets on post-LLM architectures. They clearly know that inference-heavy transformer scaling isn't going to be the only game in town forever.
Let's bring it all together in Section 6. Takeaways for the industry. Some actionable next steps.
So here is your actionable checklist moving forward. First up, audit your current tools right now for MCP compatibility so you don't accumulate a mountain of integration debt now that it's the clear industry standard. Second, track that TurboQuant implementation. If you're running long context inference at scale, this kind of cache compression is going to be an absolute lifesaver. Third, inventory and secure your enterprise AI agents. Because they're operating autonomously, your runtime visibility and security are now paramount. And finally, keep a very close eye on world model research from places like AMI for those long-term physical robotics applications. Put them together, and these 4 pillars really form your comprehensive blueprint of the maturing AI landscape.
Which brings us to a final thought I want to leave you with today. As artificial intelligence clearly transitions from experimental hype into shared foundational infrastructure, is your organization actually building on the right layers of the new AI stack? It's a critical question that every single team needs to be asking right now to make sure they aren't left behind. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look at the Spring 2026 AI blueprint has empowered you with the knowledge to navigate this incredible industry shift. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and stay curious.